Going to bring Aditi in after we remind the people of the good world that FanDuel is the #1 sportsbook in America. It is not even a debate. It is FanDuel and no one else. And right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a simple $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, regardless of the outcome. And you can bet on anything from spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's literally no better time to get in on the action. I promise you it is so simple. Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season, the NBA season, the World Series. You can bet on hockey. If you can bet on it, you can find it on FanDuel. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And with that, we welcome in our favorite sideline reporter in the world. It is Aditi Kinkhabwala.
Hi, Aditi.
Hi, how are you guys?
Do you know why they won't bring in another quarterback, Aditi?
I don't. But who do you want them to go and get right now?
Anybody.
P.J. Walker's not an NFL quarterback. You know that. I mean, he's not.
I mean, the guy's engineered 2 wins for you.
No, he hasn't. He's been along for the ride. He hasn't engineered them.
If you just watched his play in a vacuum, they didn't win.
Come on, has
game.
Kenny Pickett engineered wins for the Steelers? Come on, he's been along for the ride.
I mean, he has. There's a ball in the Hall of Fame, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, for the game-winning drive that he led against the Raiders last year.
Good for him. He still stinks.
I take Pickett right now.
Okay.
We take Pickett.
Why is a conversation about P.J. Walker immediately turned to ripping
fault.
Kenny Pickett?
That's my bad.
You know Bull's got a thing.
You know it coming. You know
Kenny
it.
Pickett.
I mean, like, where was that line?
Fair
Where
enough.
was that
Even Kenny Pickett, who is painfully mediocre on a good day, is way better than P.J. Walker, who's the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life, except for maybe Tim Tebow and Johnny Manziel. Now,
look, this is a team that already
shots.
Bull. This is a team that already sacrificed so much for one quarterback. They're not going to mortgage the future again for another quarterback.
But you could trade a fourth-round pick for Jacoby
Brissett. The price of what's available.
Aditi, couldn't you trade a fourth-round pick for Andy Dalton or Jacoby Brissett? Those guys are way better than P.J. Walker. No?
I mean, that's a very fair point. I think that if Jacoby Brissett could be had, that would be a brilliant idea. But again, remember, Deshaun Watson is not on IR. So we don't know that Deshaun Watson isn't better next week when the Arizona Cardinals and Josh Dobbs or Kyler Murray come to town.
Aditi, let me ask you this question. And because you're around a lot of the other teams, the way the messaging has worked for this whole thing with Watson and being injured, are other teams handling it the same way? It just seems like this is a little strange at the way that there's this not on IR, hurt, not hurt, structural, no structural. How are other teams handling things like this?
I think that you always have more scrutiny when it's your own team. And so it's very, very easy to sit here and pick at this is insane and crazy and wrong and how does this make sense? But if you'd go around the league and really, really, really get inside quite a few teams, there would be sort of the same thing. I mean, look, the Philadelphia Eagles are going through it right now with Jalen Hurts' knee. Is he hurt or is he not? Why has he never appeared on the injury report? But he was wearing a brace, and Jalen Hurts said that, yep, the knee was a thing, and Nick Sirianni said, yep, the knee was a thing, but why has he never been on an injury report? So to think that this only happens in Cleveland, I think is a little, I don't know. I don't want to call it small, but it doesn't only happen in Cleveland.
But you're right. Obviously you're right, but that's a huge difference. Jalen Hurts is playing not as well as last year, but he's still playing pretty well. They have totally botched this situation. Stefanski saying he was cleared after the Baltimore game when he didn't play made Watson look bad. Then 2 days later, Andrew Berry, the Wednesday of the bye week, says, he's going to play against San Francisco.
Okay, but let me cut you off. Deshaun cleared that up, right? Didn't he say that he didn't actually get the MRI until Saturday when the swelling went down, and so they didn't actually know what the nature of the injury was.
Don't say he's going to play.
Didn't actually know.
Right. Say we don't know. Say we don't know.
Look, this is why the whole Brady Quinn thing is sort of crazy, because if there's one thing you know about Deshaun Watson, if there's one piece of his history, it's how tough he is. I mean, the guy took a bus ride because he couldn't get on a plane to play in a game. So to sit here and question his toughness, I mean, you can question Why was he saying, I'm definitely going to play? Could he not have said, hey, I'm doing every single thing I possibly can to play, but I'm not 100% sure? Yeah, maybe looking back, he should have probably framed it that way.
Aditi,
but there's no surprise. Okay, go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
I just want to circle back on Bull's point, because we've talked about this a lot on the show. We feel that the temperature with the fan base and the media was set by these two things. Stefanski on Monday, after the injury happened in the Titans game.
And after the Saturday MRI.
Yes. Saying that he expects him to go. Now, on Wednesday, 10 days before the Niners game, the general manager said matter-of-factly he's going to play against San Francisco.
Stefanski, just to clarify, Stefanski didn't say we expect him to go. Stefanski said he was cleared to play this past weekend.
Yes, you're right. He talking about the previous game, saying
is it medically cleared? But just because you're medically cleared doesn't mean.
But why say it that way to make Watson look bad?
So that's where I'm going, Aditi, and I want your answer to this. What we've kind of alleged or come to the conclusion was that he wasn't provided cover by his coach and general manager, who in their comments to the media first said that he's cleared to play and decided not to. Yep. And then 2 days later, their general manager, again, very matter-of-factly said he's playing against San Francisco in 10 days. I think the cautious way to handle that, if you're not sure, because they clearly weren't sure because they were wrong, if you're not sure, you don't have to tell us everything. Many times they don't tell us.
You're not wrong. I'm not disagreeing with you.
And there's so I think the rift here, and yesterday I called it InfoWars. I feel like I'm getting one set of information from the team and a different set of information from the player, and that's bad optics. What I'm saying is the team should have provided the player cover so he wouldn't have to take friendly fire from Hanford Dixon. So he wouldn't have to take fire from a former quarterback and media member and Browns fan in Brady Quinn questioning his toughness. The team did not do him any favors when they aired the wrong way. Just say, we don't know, it's week to week. We're going to continue to keep you updated as we find out information. Done. Don't say he's
right. I mean, I don't disagree with you. That's a conversation that you should absolutely have with them. It's the whole old adage, right? It's under promise, over deliver.
Yes.
So, oh, wow, he's actually playing? That's a big, pleasant surprise, as opposed to expecting him to play and then saying, well, I mean, didn't Kevin Stefanski say this week that he thought that perhaps Watson would be able to go against Seattle? Didn't he say that on Monday?
Yes. He said that Sunday.
He said that he is our starting quarterback, right, on Sunday.
So
to sort of knock down this idea. Was he benched because of his performance?
Yeah, to clear it up, and this is in Stefanski's defense, he was answering a question that basically was asking of him, is he benched or is he your starter?
Right.
And in answering that question, he said, Deshaun's the starter. Of course he's the starter. He's making $230 million.
Right.
And P.J. Walker's the backup. That's a silly question. I think Stefanski realized later in the postgame news conference that he wanted to come back and clean that up a little bit, so he did, and he said, look, I mean, he's my starter provided that he's cleared and he's healthy. So if you just listen to one of the sound bites, it can be pulled out of context, but to give it its total and full context, you have to look at it and look at both of those comments before you make any judgments.
Sure. I mean, it's really, really disappointing. Let's just leave it at that right now, because this defense is playing tremendously. They didn't actually play a perfectly clean 60 minutes this last week. Those penalties that led to free plays where they stopped playing twice, I lost my mind over
both. It led to 14 points.
But they're playing really, really well. They're still running the ball surprisingly well, considering having lost Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt, who going into that game, Kevin Stefanski told us he'll have maybe 5 snaps. And look at what he did instead. This is a team that is playing really well. Amari Cooper, I can go on and on. People that are giving the Browns everything that they have. It's really sad. It's really disappointing that the quarterback situation, for which they went out on such a monstrous financial limb, in addition to all the other limbs, is just not working right now.
Yeah. And that's
and all this other stuff is just kind of ancillary. It's almost like chatter. Let's turn. Is this a scandal? Is this a scandal? Are they wrong about this? At the end of the day, it all boils down to the fact that this is a team that legitimately has championship potential. And I don't know that I've ever said that in 15 years of being around the Cleveland Browns. This is the team that legitimately has all the pieces, and yet the quarterback position is just not working right now, be it for health. Let's just call it for health.
Well, yeah, and as far as the defense, I think this is a big week for the defense, because the reality is they've been great at times, but they did not play great against Baltimore. They then played great against San Francisco, and then they didn't. Outside of Myles Garrett, they really didn't play well at all last week. He carried the defense.
Well, they came up with big plays. And, it's funny because we've been talking about this ad nauseum for years, I feel. And we've talked about it in the context of the Myles Garrett versus TJ Watt conversation. We've talked about it in terms of Myles Garrett being a DPOY. It's this idea of the game-changing play. And there are certain teams that drill turnovers, that everything they do is about takeaways. And there are other teams that sit here and say, no, it's more important to make the tackle, not give up the big play, and give the ball back to your offense. That we're not going to lose sight of what our actual job is while chasing the ball. And that's been the Browns. But this week, when they desperately needed those game-changing plays, I was standing next to Mike Annarella, who works for the Browns. He's in the Browns PR department. I was standing next to him on the sideline when the Colts were backed up in their own end zone, and the game was what the game was. And I turned to him and I said, right here, right now, a game-changing defense gets a touchdown. And what happened? Yeah. Myles Garrett forced a fumble and Tony Fields fell on it. You can call Mike and ask him. I called that touchdown right there. Yeah. But I said that that's what needs to happen. And so did they play the same 60 minutes that they did Monday night in Pittsburgh? No, but they did enough to win the game. And sometimes that's just as good. Actually, that really is just as because you got the W.
It'll be interesting this week because Seattle's a way better team, in my opinion, than Indianapolis. They've got a better quarterback. They've got just as good a running back, if not better. They've got better wide receivers. And they got a good, solid defense. It's a pretty interesting team. It's a tough test for the Browns, and it's not sustainable to win the way they won last week. You can't win when the defense made game-changing plays, no doubt, but you can't win games where your quarterback stinks and and the other team's offense. What's his name? Who's the Colts quarterback? I forgot his name.
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew looked great against them. So that can't happen again. If they're going to win, they got to play lights-out defense across the board.
Yes, and that's a very, very, very tough place to play.
It is.
Very tough, obviously. But I would say don't denigrate the Colts here. The Colts are a better team than even I thought going in with their numbers.
Agreed.
Shane Steichen has them playing really well. And I'll tell you from this point of view, when you stand on the sideline, you look if a team has ever lost sort of its mojo. Both sidelines, no change. As back and forth as that was, even when the Colts were down 11, there was no hanging of heads, there was no anxiety, no nervousness. Gardner Minshew's been here, done that. So we can sit here and you can say going out to Seattle is a tougher game than having gone out to Indianapolis. I will give you that, but don't denigrate the Colts. That's a good team right there.
No, I wasn't. They're pretty good. I just think Seattle.
And Jonathan Taylor was hot. Jonathan Taylor's pads were warmed up.
He was running well.
He is an elite running back.
Aditi, there's a lot of people who said Kareem Hunt was washed. He was done. He was finished. He's not coming back. I thought he played well in his spurts. I think he needs to get back in game shape. But this is going to be a throwback game. Kareem Hunt, if you wanted your opportunity to prove yourself, we need to hang our hat on the running game. Kareem Hunt.
I'm telling you. Kareem wasn't supposed to play that much. He was totally iffy leading into the game. He was nursing that quad injury. And I'm not kidding. Kevin Stefanski told us in the production meeting the night before that he thinks Kareem Hunt is going to have about 5 snaps. And he said, we need to get Pierre Strong going because I don't think I'm going to have Kareem Hunt. And that is not, he got way, way, way more out of Kareem Hunt. That was most definitely a courageous Herculean effort by Kareem Hunt. And you hope that he's healthier this week. He looked the week before against San Francisco, he looked like the pads were warmed up. He was ready to go. He'd gotten all that quote unquote rust off, and he was indeed in game shape. Yeah, so as long as he's healthy, I'm not sitting here saying that I'm worried about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love how hard he runs. Look, the game came down to one play. The Colts knew that the Browns were going to run it.
Yeah.
Everybody in the stadium knew that they were going to run it on that 4th down. And when they needed that longest yard, he was able to churn it out. And, I don't like the talk either that this guy's done. Jason says, look, he's on 3 wheels. He's done. Like, I just don't see that. I don't. He still runs hard. And I'm actually, what I want to see is a game where he is completely healthy, where he's the focal point of the offense, because he's never been that here.
Well, but I want to see Pierre Strong, too, because I like what I've seen from him. So
I do, too, and I think we will see Pierre Strong. A lot of them.
And I think that that's the nature of this run game, right? It's never only about one back. Even when Nick Chubb is Nick Chubb, you were still seeing a Major Joseph, Kareem Hunt. So it was funny down at the goal line there. I mean, you want to run your best play. And so your best play is running Kareem Hunt. But they needed to take time off the clock, which is why 1st down, 2nd down, 3rd down, they're not running Kareem Hunt. And I'm like, wow, they're putting this on just the one chance to
That's
make
what it felt
this
like.
happen.
Yeah, it did. It felt like they were all in on one run on 4th down, and that was it.
On 3rd down, I would have run him. I would have been like, this is our best play. Let's give it 2 shots.
And just hurry up, get back up, and try it again.
Yeah.
All right, Aditi, I know you got a hard 220 out. Thanks for coming on. We'll see you next week.